Hello and welcome back to this course of videos on Node.js. In previous videos we talked about core modules, modules that are available to Node.js by default. Now one of the modules that we mentioned but didn't go into detail was the file system module. Now this file system module actually allows us to read and write files, and to show it in action, I'll switch over to Visual Studio Code here. So first of all, I am requiring the fs core module, as we did in the previous video. Now I'm going to run, you see this method that's available on the fs core module is called readfilesync. Now the sync part, this is very important. So normally we talked about the non-blocking nature of Node.js, which makes it so successful. Now this is actually running synchronously as opposed to asynchronously. So this is actually blocking code. And when I say blocking code, I mean that this second line of code here is not going to run until this file has completed reading. So in an asynchronous model, this next line of code would run straight away. And once the file had completed reading, then a callback would run and the program would continue. However, like I said, this is blocking code, and as we mentioned earlier in the videos, with the single-threaded nature of Node.js, you don't want to run blocking code very often. But again, for simplicity's sake, I have just used the blocking version. So, readfilesync takes one single parameter. In fact, it takes more than that, but for the, only one compulsory parameter, and which is the file name. So as when we were requiring our core modules, in a similar manner, we put a // in front of the reference to let it know that this is current directory. Now my text file that we want to read is actually in a folder called text files, and it's called readme.txt. So just to show you in Windows Explorer, here's the file, read file, that we're writing our code in, and my file is in text files readme.txt. Now this readme.txt just has a lot of code copied out of an excellent JavaScript book, excellent Node book that I'm reading right now, and I've just copied it many times over. So to reference then this readme.txt, I'm doing // to say current directory, and then I'm giving the name of the folder, and then the name of the txt file. So we're just going to run this, and we're going to console.log what it reads from that file. Now you'll see something quite interesting happen. So if I go across to git bash, I'm already in the correct folder. So again, the name of the file I'm going to run is readfile.js. So I'm just going to say node read file. Don't need to put the JS again. And you can see this is interesting. So it's read it, but it's given me back a buffer. Now a buffer is binary data. Now the reason for this is when all text files are stored in binary. So, I mean, it's the most efficient way to store data is in the binary format. And unless we tell the readfile method about the encoding of the file, it's going to read it in binary. However, this can take a second argument, which actually, where you can state the character encoding of the file. Now, UTF-8 is the most common character encoding for text files, and it covers a very wide number of different characters. So if I put UTF-8 in here, that's actually going to tell Node, this txt file, how to interpret the binary data that's in there. So if we rerun this now, what we should see is the contents in text, because it's actually been converted using this UTF-8. So if I go back to my git bash and I run the file again, you'll see now it actually comes out, because we've converted it to UTF-8, it's put it out in its textual format. So now all we've done is we've read the file into this variable contents. Now what we're going to do now is we're going to take that data and we're going to write it to a separate text file. So this is the second method that we're going to look at, which is part of the FS core module. It's called writefilesync. Now this takes, again, two compulsory parameters, which is the file that you wish to write to. Again, / shows my current directory. Text files says the folder that I want it to write to, because I want it to write into this text files folder. And then writeme.txt is the name of the text file I want to create. The second parameter in here, the second argument, is the contents, which is a variable that I've just read into. So again, I'm going to read into contents using readfilesync, and then I'm going to write to this writeme.txt using the writefilesync. So we go back to our git bash, and where is my git bash? And let me just clear this out so we can see it a little easier. And I'm going to rerun the read file. And what that's actually going to do, it didn't show us anything on the console, but that will have now created writeme.txt, which contains all of this text data here. Now, in cases where I could have actually put the third parameter on here and stated the character encoding of UTF-8. There was no need for me to do that because I had already converted to the textual format to populate into the contents. However, if this particular contents was binary, and I was actually writing binary data to a text file, then I would need to use my UTF-8 character encoding so it would write in the correct format. So that's your introduction to the FS module and how to read and write files. As I said, in the next video, we'll be looking at the asynchronous way of doing this, which is the preferred way to code always in Node.js.